Japanese cameramen are the swordsmen of the lens, the samurai of the image, the seventh dan of the blow-up belt. Their victims, or willing accomplices in this totally Western ritual, the making of a television commercial, are helping them to sell a product and ram home an idea. The product, though you wouldn't guess it, is a National Electric cooker. The idea is that you can't sell anything in Japan's consumer society unless it has the good housekeeping seal of a westernized face on it. She mustn't look oriental or act shy. On the television screen, the commercials tell a simple tale. The fast light, the quick action go to girls with wide-open eyes.
20年前の流行が鮮やかに蘇ったレナウンイエイエ Slowly to die Go time to time You should be perfect God's mercy
Any city street will show you that the face of Japan has hardly been scratched by the image merchant. To most Japanese eyes, the Japanese face looks perfectly feminine and attractive without Western modification. So why should Japanese women buy anything from models who look deliberately non-Japanese? Why do they put up with the failed assault? But they do buy the product, and more Japanese women buy the image as well. A wig, a pair of sunglasses, a small plastic operation to make your face the one that stands out from the crowd. And even if it doesn't, there are men on the streets looking for the face that could use a helping hand. Mr. Ito and his assistant, Mr. Mizushima, walk along the pavement watching all the girls go by. Not for the fun of it. Mr. Ito runs a large model agency and he needs Western-looking models. Most girls aren't suitable, and those that could be, 90% aren't interested. To prove that East and West can meet face to face, Mr. Ito's album of dramatic conversions shows what makeup or surgery can do. But not every girl's ears pin back at the thought of putting her nose out of joint. This girl is still at school. She's only 16, but she has possibilities. Mr. Ito doesn't suggest plastic surgery, but considering that she's never worn makeup before in her life, the trip to the beauty parlor for a course of westernization must be nearly as shattering for her and the onlookers. It's a full Pygmalion act. Broaden the lips, widen the eyes, pancake the skin, restyle the hair. And fashion's Professor Higgins has produced another face which speaks with just the right accent. But it's an Esperanto face, an identikit face, a United Nations of a face. But the Japanese may have decided that dressing like Westerners isn't enough. They may never become Western under the skin, but that's no reason why the skin shouldn't become as Western as the clothes on it. Their passion for imitation just won't die down. The whole selling process is geared to the Western style. It's as if the Japanese find the idea of an Oriental face in Western clothes improbable, unsuitable, or ridiculous. The right place for a Japanese face can only be in traditional clothes. And as there's no question of giving up Western styles, there's only one way to resolve the conflict. You put a brave face on it, and you change your face. Miko Fukuhara is pretty by any standard. You wouldn't think she'd need to change her face. But despite growing her hair long and dyeing it, she can't yet work as a model. Only plastic surgery will give her the eyes, nose and chin that the agencies and ad men say the consumers want. Every day, hundreds of women in Tokyo are doing exactly the same thing. They're shaping their looks as well as their lives on the best commercial models. There are nearly 50 plastic surgeons in Tokyo. Each one handles about 100 patients a month, fiddling in up to 10 on a busy operating day. At present, perhaps 50,000 Japanese women have plastic operations every year, but the demand is rising sharply. It's doubling every other year. And what does she think of her new 85-pound eyes and nose? If she doesn't like the look of it, she can choose a new one as she comes out of the anesthetic. It's as simple as that. This doctor earns around £10,000 a year as a plastic surgeon, but his clinic must take £100,000 or more from women's demands to tailor their faces to the prevailing Western winds. Following the fashion is one fashion you can't change. But is it really worth changing the fashion of your face to suit the face of fashion? You don't have to have an operation to alter your appearance. That bald back and sides look is quite enough to change a strong Japanese boy into an American-style baseball hero. And Mr. O is certainly a hero. O's salary as one of Japan's 2 baseball superstars is as American as his looks. He makes over £30,000 a year from playing, and another £20,000 from a telecommercial for vitamin pills. O is more than a hero. He's an American-type image, exploited in the full Madison Avenue style, until he looks like a giant. The plastic surgery is perfect. These aren't Japanese playing as being baseball players. Superstars like O and his teammate Nagashima are at least as good as the best Americans. When the New York Giants toured Japan last spring, they could only win 3 games out of 12. It's a question of time before the Japanese win the World Series. Every gadget, electronic aid and architectural device has been poured into the Giants Stadium to make the baseball experience a total one. For the last 5 years, the Giants have dwarfed the other 11 clubs in the 2 main leagues. Every game involves a huge organization. This is what happens when sport becomes an industry, when pastimes become leisure, and when instead of doing something yourself, you pay to watch someone else do it. The Japanese have caught the Western blight of turning free time into just another part of the consumer society. Because of their success, the Giants are the most popular team. It's not only the Japanese that love a winner. It's not expensive to go and watch them. The cheapest seats are just over a shilling, the most expensive in a box, around 15 shillings. You won't find empty seats when the Giants play. The evening baseball game has become a regular and important date in the leisure calendar of thousands of Japanese families. There's no reason why the Japanese should be tied down to judo, kendo, and the tea ceremony as their only pastimes. But coming to terms with a foreign influence is one thing. The relentless and total imitation of American baseball has something of the desperation of plastic surgery about it. Besides the 100,000 crowd in the stadium, there's a vast audience outside. Every Giants game is televised, and the total audience for every game can be as high as 30 million, a third of the entire population. The nation wrapped in its imported experience, genuine, right down to the popcorn. Every morning, the police control the crowds as Expo 70 opens. 10 million Japanese have already been there. When you see how organized the crowds are, you wonder why the police are needed at all. It's not only the children who are on leading strings. Every group, and the overwhelming majority of Japanese visit Expo in groups, sticks close together. The children are firmly put into uniforms so that they can't get lost. The adults don't actually wear uniforms. Every group just has a different hat. When you think of the number of groups visiting Expo every day, it's extraordinary that different groups wearing the same hat don't get hopelessly confused. But if there's variety in one thing, it seems to be in the supply of different hats per group. And if you can't spot your hat group in the crowd, look for and follow the flag which your group leader holds high like a reassuring beacon, or is it a distress signal? Perhaps the groups at Expo feel safest when they're standing in a queue. Every day there's a 2-mile queue outside the Russian pavilion, but half the people know that they won't get in. not one sort of queue in Japan's overcrowded society, it's another. As people buy more cars, the roads don't keep pace with the car population. The weekend drive to the seaside from Tokyo is a nightmare crawl, made worse by level crossings, where the signal doesn't warn you that the train is coming, but tells you stridently that the gates are closed. The 40 kilometers from Tokyo to the sea will take you 4 hours at the weekend. The moment you get through one blockage, you find the next one just as bad, just around the corner. You're never alone in a traffic jam. With luck, you get to the sea in the early afternoon. But there's no letting up when you do arrive. The road along the seafront is just as packed as the road leading there. And at the far end of the seafront, another jam, the start of the 4-hour queue on the way back to Tokyo, that the consumer goodies of the prosperous society have to be used. Most of the time, the beach. It takes so long to get there and come back that it's hardly worth leaving the car for a half hour by the sea. While the adults struggle to the seaside, their children struggle in the streets. The students feel strongly about many issues: the American alliance, the return of Okinawa, keeping Japan non-nuclear. Hardly a weekend goes by without a small demonstration, 20,000 is considered small, against one or another or all of these issues. But the regularity with which the demonstrations take place, the elaborate uniforms, the ritual dances, all make them seem less a matter of politics, more a way of passing the time. Those who want to get out of Tokyo at the weekend but can't stand the crawl to the sea often drive to the Nikko Hills, an attractive range nearby. There's a specially built scenic road through them. It doesn't lead anywhere. It's just a leisure road, and you pay to use it, as do thousands of others. At the weekend, the cars flooding, paying over £1 for the privilege of enjoying the 5-mile scenic strip. A privilege you share with the ton-up cyclists who find the road one of the few places they can stretch their machines. And after all, it's their form of leisure. You'll take the low road, I'll take the high road, and we'll reach the tollgate together.
ベートーベンについての研究会やその作品を演奏する催しが
At NHK, Japan's Public Broadcasting Corporation, there's a whole stereo network devoted to Western classical music. The audience for Western music seems
美
inexhaustible.
曲のためにベートーベンが .
「
ホームコンサート。今日はビバルディ作曲和製法とインベンションの試み第1集、ヘンデル作曲組曲水の上の
娘たちをしなさい、共に招こう。
The mass audience for Western music doesn't listen only to the radio or gramophone records. There's a large concert following, especially for major events like the second performance ever in Japan of Mahler's 8th Symphony by the Tokyo Philharmonic, one of Tokyo's 10 orchestras. The standard of orchestral playing is high, maintained by over a dozen classical music schools. While Japanese conductors, like Seiji Ozawa, are winning international reputations abroad. But the way the Japanese have adopted the complete Western musical life makes you slightly incredulous. 10 orchestras, 20 concert halls, 800 concerts a year in Tokyo alone. And yet 35 years ago, the Western classics had little hold on the public ear. Westernization begins to sound like capitulation. Nobody can accuse the Japanese of copying pachinko from anybody. It's all their own. For a shilling, you buy 25 balls which you flick as fast as you can. It's high-speed, upright bagatelle. If one goes into a hole, you win another 15. Most people buy 100 or 200 balls at a time, and with those they win, this can keep them pachinking for hours. At lunchtime and before and after work, the parlours are crowded with anyone from an executive to a shop assistant who wants to relax. They say it's a skillful game, not the random one that it looks like to the untutored eye. You must flick the balls to the middle of the board so that they split evenly. When a ball goes into a hole, it is, they say, the moment of ecstasy. Pachinko provides all kinds of satisfaction. Japanese say, quite seriously, that they can get away from the stresses of difficult human relationships in a pachinko parlour. Each man confronts his machine, concentrating his all in his flicking thumb. Only the Japanese can manage the contradiction of looking for solitude in a pachinko parlour. To an outsider, it looks like a society in a state of compulsive twitch. But pachinko, like bingo, also appeals to the gambling instinct. At the end of the day, you've tried your skill, you've got away from your problems, and you've won a hat too. Even the taxi drivers can't resist a quick pachink between fares. Every morning, Tokyo's 200 golf ranges are crowded with housewives. For 3 shillings, they can belt 24 balls. They have full golfing kit, the right skirt, gloves, sweaters and shoes. But most of them will never play real golf. Tokyo has only 20 golf clubs, and it costs £200 and more to join one if you can get in. This is the only view most Japanese golfers will ever see. They'll never have the satisfaction of holing out, just of blazing away. The devotion to getting it right, to perfecting the style, is no less just because there's really no point. Golf ranges are growing fast. Some people are even building ranges enclosed by nets on the tops of private houses. In the evening, the men take over, but they're just as trapped as the women. They have the shadow of the sport, not its substance, a truncated part, meaningless by itself. It's the tragedy of Japanese leisure. It's the problem facing any consumer society. Are most so-called leisure pursuits really worth pursuing?